Tell me the funniest or most embarrassing story you can about you being pissed off.
Oof, really? Does it have to be pissed off or can it be embarrassed?
No, we're talking about anger and how we deal with frustration. So, like, where you've handled it completely terribly, and it was, like, open yourself up. Let's hear it.
No, you don't want to talk about being vulnerable. No, I mean, I've done things like,
Hey, everybody, welcome to the Upbeat Hang podcast, episode 37. Today, we are extra excited to talk about the joys of motherfucking stress.
you go, Duke.
I'm going
Who
to.
are you?
I'm gonna cut that out.
No, don't cut that out.
Really? You think I should leave that?
Totally. Absolutely. Keep that in there.
When you get stressful, don't you just want to break something, scream every curse word, even though it doesn't make any sense? It's like, whatever.
Yes.
I had one of those mornings, folks, and let me tell you, it was joyous. Ken and Amy got they got the texts, and they know what a joyous morning I was having. So I didn't do anything physically to calm myself down. I worked my way through it, and knock on wood. I'm doing my outlook is a little bit better. Amy, what do you do when you have something that's dry? Actually, I've seen you really frustrated, and your face gets so beet red. Like,
oh yes,
it's funny. She looks like she's totally embarrassed, but it's hot. Her face gives off heat.
Yeah. Well, what happens is a lot of times when you're upset, we have emotions, and I love this topic that we could speak to because I just know so much about it. And we're supposed to be like, level, and we could have emotions in either direction, whether it's anger or sadness or like elation. There are so many different things. And once you go above that, you have to kind of bring yourself down. So there are many things you could do physically. And I don't recommend doing this.
I think she's lying. I think she does recommend doing that. So wait, I want to ask you, do you know the time I'm talking about when I saw you and you were beet red and you were so angry?
When we were doing a photo shoot.
Yes.
Yes.
So did you do anything physically to relieve yourself of that anger?
I didn't have the time to, other than you're going to laugh at me, and I hope that you don't, but this is a biological response to any kind of stressful situations. You do 30 seconds of intense exercise, and it will bring you back down. So outside of your house that night, I did 30 jumping jacks. It wasn't the 30 seconds, but I did 30 jumping jacks to try to bring myself back down.
I thought you were going to say something like you have to fart. Yeah. Relieve the stress.
Well, that too. we just pop the bubble. That's a good one, dude. But there are typically for myself, the way that I relieve any kind of stress is to clean. That's what I typically will do, is I will clean. The other thing that I will do is, like I just said, an intense, very, very brief workout where I can run from like street corner to street corner as fast as I possibly can, and the scientific response of your body brings you back down. There also is, of course, wine. Just a little bit of wine. And there's really nothing wrong with drinking to just kind of level yourself, as long as you're not getting like drunk, hammered, which is not anything that I recommend doing.
Hey.
Hey.
I left and came back like that. I totally forget where we were.
So I was talking about, I was asking you how you relieve your stress while my microphone started to drop, and that always agitates me.
And how do you handle that?
Well, I feel bad because then we have to figure everything out and it makes a lot of noise, but that doesn't elevate my emotions to the point that I need to do anything. That's like minor. But there are definitely things that drive me a little crazy. You know, like COVID, being home with my kids for the first several months where there was no outlet at all was very, very difficult. And that's where I found Josh.
She has a special side relationship with Josh.
Should I show Josh again? Hold on. Here. This is Josh. It's great.
So I have a similar special relationship. Unfortunately, with Dry January, that relationship we had to break up. But
oh, that's so sad.
in the meantime, I love craft brews, and I found a non-alcoholic craft brew that I love. It's actually it truly tastes like beer. My full endorsement goes to Athletic Brewing. Free wave. Oh. It's amazing, folks. And you can drink it while you're driving. It doesn't matter.
That's right. It's like a soda.
That's right.
That's my mother, who's a recovering alcoholic, 32 years. She drinks O'Doul's or St. Pauli Girl.
They're terrible. Those are terrible.
But she was not a craft beer drinker in the first place. She was like a light beer drinker.
Yeah.
So
I've never seen an alcoholic who's like, ugh, I won't drink that.
They'll drink the rubbing alcohol.
That's right. Yeah. Good enough.
Yeah. But hey, you know what? There actually is a very, very minimal amount of alcohol in the O'Doul's and the other one. I don't know if there's anything in that one, but it's so minimal. It's like you need to have like a case in order to have
more than that. More than that. You would have to drink
0.01% or something.
Yeah. You would have to drink like, kegs and kegs to get a buzz, and it's physically impossible. So
yeah, you'd explode before that happened.
Right.
So what else do you do other than drink your non-alcoholic craft beer? Running's a good one. Absolutely.
Running and push-ups are good. And the thing when are you ever in a good state when you're freaking out? But like this morning, I had to really, really calm myself down because I was pissed off. And
yep.
I left this thing that I typed out for myself. And in essence, it says, well, what part of it is your own fault? And by seeing that I had something to do with what happened, it makes it a little bit easier for me to say, okay, well, this is where we are. What can I do to move forward? Now, there are going to be times when, I'm in a situation where I had absolutely nothing to do with what happened to me, and I'm going to be pissed off, and I'm going to have to deal with it. And I think for me, it's just accept it. It's just accept it.
Yeah, well, you have to accept. And of course, you want to always get to the root of what's causing the stress. And if you are part of that cause, then sure, you're the only one who control your outcome. Nobody can control your own outcome except for yourself.
Unfortunately, though, it's very difficult to be honest with yourself and allow yourself to be vulnerable to say, well, what about you? Dummy.
Right.
Right.
Sure. Absolutely. It's hard to take responsibility.
It's
for your
always
own
easy
actions.
to blame somebody else. That's why I think the best leaders are always the ones who take responsibility for whatever happens on their team. If it's a failure, it's the leader says it's my fault,
Right. Absolutely.
I think leaders who are, weak leaders blame,
Totally. It's the blame game. It's like passing the coin. So it's so much better to just accept responsibility for your own actions, and recognize and repair. Because if you can't, first of all, recognize, then you can't repair. And that's the bottom line. So I know when I'm starting to get agitated. I feel it. We all feel it. We know when we don't feel agitated or sad or any emotion that's, highly elevated or very low. So once you feel it coming on, if you could put a stop to it, whether it's to, like you said, go for a run, or you could self-soothe. Like, I like to play with my hair like this. It makes me feel better. I soothe. Or eat something that really, just a piece of gum that just really, or drink a cup of coffee that makes you feel good. It actually does help.
I
using
do that.
Your senses.
I do that hair thing too, but unfortunately, when it happens at the bus stop and I'm messing with some other woman's hair, they don't like it. So did you notice it's Yellow Day today? We did not plan it, but we're very yellow today.
Right. That's because we are talking about turning lemons into lemonade. And really, it was not planned. This was not planned.
No.
I looked, I said, "Oh, Duke, you're wearing yellow. Look at, so am I."
I have my boy howdy shirt. I love my boy howdy shirt.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. I love my shirt too.
You have your girl howdy shirt on.
That's right, exactly.
But I want to ask you, tell me the funniest or most embarrassing story you can about you being pissed off.
Oof. Really? Does it have to be pissed off, or can it be embarrassed?
No, we're talking about anger and how we deal with frustration. So, like, where you've handled it completely terribly, and it was, like, open yourself up. Let's hear it.
No, you don't want to talk about being vulnerable. No, I mean, I've done things like, punched walls, cars. I mean, very bad stuff.
You punched cars?
I have, yeah.
Damn.
And that's embarrassing when I think about it now.
Was it your own car or somebody's car?
Somebody else's. And it's embarrassing. But you asked me, and I'm being honest with you.
Oh my gosh! Now, what caused that? Was it the car of some? Oh my gosh!
And it really just hit my nerve, and that was it.
Now, did you hit the person's car you were in an argument with?
Yep.
Wow. So who lost? You or your hand?
Oh, me. Oh, I definitely did, because I wound up broken.
Yeah. You broke your hand.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yes, I did. Yep. But you know what? Just today I had a frustrating situation. Right before we were going to record, I looked at my kitchen table to notice that Leah, my 8-year-old, left her folder home. So I had to then get myself ready to do this and drive her folder over to school, which is like 15 minutes away. So it was about a half an hour. And meanwhile, I probably should never have done it, but it was her dress down day. So her money was in there. And so I did it. I was agitated, but I just, took a few deep breaths and I was okay.
How dare she be an 8-year-old and do 8-year-old things?
Well, I was saying to Josh earlier, now not Josh the one, I was not talking to the one, I was talking to Josh, my son. I said, you know what? Leah's actually really good with this stuff usually. She's usually right on things. She's the first one ready in the morning, the first one out the door, but she left the folder. Yeah. So I kind of take the blame because I didn't check her homework last night. I checked it this morning and I left the folder. It was in her bag and I took it out. Oh. So it was.
Well, there you go. Taking responsibility. That's awesome. Awesome.
And that is what I thought about, Duke. And that's the truth. I thought, why did she leave her folder home? And then I thought to myself, wait a minute. I left her folder home. She didn't, because it was in her bag and I removed it. So it is my responsibility now to repair the problem. I need to get in the car and drive it over. Yeah. It's the truth. That's how it works. So.
Well, I'm going to go back to your punching the car.
Oh gosh, do we really question. Have to?
Did you hurt the car at all?
No.
Just your hand?
Yes.
And does your hand have any long-term damage from it, or is everything good with it?
No, everything's fine. Good. It was my right hand. That was the problem, because I I'm a righty. But outside of that, no, nothing wrong with my right hand at all.
Good.
Now, my left hand, on the other hand, this was in a car accident. So this has some remaining damage, but this one is healthy.
But yeah, but neither of them have any long-term damage from your anger. And that's a good thing.
No, definitely not. But I will be honest, Duke, like I have been and always will be throughout this, is that there are people like myself who definitely have a raging temper. And I went through, therapy for it to try to just learn how to understand where the anger is coming from and how to not be impulsive with actions such as that. And it wasn't that I had like anger issues. It wasn't that. It's more the impulsivity than anything else.
So what's the difference between an anger issue and I can't say that word. Impulsivity.
Well, impulsivity is just quick to react. You react without thinking. There's no filter. It's just situation happens, I'm reacting. Mm-hmm. So now there are techniques, rather than having a quick reaction like that I will go through in my head and physically do things to bring me back down to a normal level. And honestly, I think that every person should go through this sort of like training because it's life skills. It really is. They're life skills.
It's it's something that I know we all have to experience, ups and downs and all that kind of stuff. At the beginning of the year, it wasn't like, I don't think it was, December 31st or January 1st, but sometime around the beginning of the year, my wife and I started watching this show on Netflix called Headspace, A Guide to Meditation. Mm-hmm. And they're short little episodes, and we've been doing it every morning. I'm going to say, for 6 weeks, maybe a little longer. And they're 20-minute episodes, and the guy guides you through a meditation that lasts maybe 5 or 6 minutes. And it is such an amazing thing. And it's not like when I had no knowledge of what meditation was, I thought of it as this abstract thing that you had to be bald and live in, mm-hmm. In the Himalayas, and, or it was this hippie type of trippy, bull type of stuff. And there are actually scientific studies on people who have meditated, and it's shown positive results. And one of the tests showed a group they took, and he talks about this in the show. They took a group of high schoolers that were prone to violence, and they split it into two violent outbursts. They split it into two groups. One group did meditation and one group did not. And the group that did meditation, whatever.
Meditate.
Eventually reduced. They were much calmer in their responses. Their level of violence went down. And
sure,
I can't tell you why, but I think the reason I was able to handle the situation this morning in what I see as a much more beneficial way than I would have in years past might be because of the meditation. I don't know, but it certainly didn't hurt.
Well, the root of meditation is being in touch with your senses and being in touch with yourself, with your emotions. So if you're able to actually understand your own emotions through meditation, then you'll be able to control your own emotions. That's really what it comes down to. Now, Headspace is also an app.
Yeah, I don't have that.
Yeah, I have it on the phone, and I've used it. It's pretty cool, actually, and you could choose your voice and all that stuff. It's pretty neat. So
ooh, I want a James Earl Jones voice. Oh, you mean for the app? I'm sorry.
So, I think that we are human beings. We have a plethora of emotions, and we don't want to wipe away our emotions because you don't want to just be flat. That's just as bad as being up and or down, So the best option is to just understand your emotions and know how to keep them at a normal, like a baseline. And when you do feel, and by the way, emotions are very quick last. They don't last a long time. It's something like 3 to 6 seconds, and then it changes to a different emotion. So like anger can go to frustration. Frustration can go to sadness. And that's when you have the physical reaction of the tears coming down because you're just, oh, I can't take it anymore. So again, once you understand your emotions, you'll be fine. Because that's the only way that you can repair. And that's something that I learned. It's life skills. It's truly, truly life skills.
Well, I'm in attendance for life today.
Absolutely.
I had a rough first period. Now we're settling into the groove of the rest of the day.
I like how you use groove. That's coming from a true drummer right there.
That's true. That's true.
The groove of the day. Ba-dum-bum. Right, Duke? Are you feeling better?
Absolutely, I am.
Good. Again, not just to you, but to everybody out there, like understand your emotions. That way you don't overreact or underreact. It can go either way.
But that's hard because a lot of people grew up in, myself included, in an environment where that was not the way the family functioned. You didn't.
Right. Was it like a sign of weakness if you cried or something?
That, not so much a sign of weakness. It was like you were robotic. You just did the right thing. You didn't talk. You didn't so you never even thought about your emotions. You experienced them, but you didn't recognize them. So, I think a lot of people aren't even aware of their emotions. So,
that's so true. That's why so many people should do the meditating is great, or counseling. Therapy is awesome because that's what it does, is it helps you find your emotions. It helps you find what the emotions are. It's great. I think everybody should go to therapy. I really do.
Well, I think it works if you get somebody who's a good fit for you. And I think there are a lot of people who end up in situations where it's not a good fit. So it's something that may take a couple times before you find somebody who's a good fit.
Totally, but that's not a big deal. But you don't just give up after the first time. You go 3 times. If that person's not working, move on to somebody else. But generally, you'll know the first time, but don't quit right away. That's how I feel, at least.
But we're going to move along.
I'm going to tell everybody, these are what you have to do. You have to be in touch with your emotions. You have to take responsibility for your emotions. Touch your hair. And then you have to react accordingly. Do not overreact, do not underreact. But there are techniques to make you feel better and feel better quickly, and you should take advantage of them because they do work. And you won't have situations where you're freaking, like Duke said, the fuck out. Right, Duke?
That's right.
That's right.
Well, thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate it. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Upbeat Hang. And until then, stay cool.
Stay very cool, calm, and collected. And let us know how you relieve your stress.
Yeah, please put in the comments what you do to make yourself calm down when you're really angry.